Chapter 7, Section 4, The Diversity of Cellular Life. Earth is sometimes called a living planet, and for good reason. From its simple beginnings, life has spread to every corner of the globe, penetrating deep into the earth and far beneath the surface of the seas. The diversity of life is so great that you might have to remind yourself that all living things are composed of cells, use the same basic chemistry, follow the same genetic code, and even contain the same kind of organelles. This does not mean that all living things are the same. It does mean that their differences arise from the ways in which cells are specialized to perform certain tasks and the ways in which cells associate with each other to form multicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms. Cells are the basic living units of all organisms, but sometimes a single cell is a little more than that. Sometimes a cell is the organism. A single-celled organism is also called a unicellular organism. Unicellular organisms do everything that you would expect a living thing to do. They grow, respond to the environment, transform energy, and reproduce. In terms of their numbers, unicellular organisms dominate life on Earth. Some examples of unicellular organisms are shown in Figure 7-20. Multicellular organisms. Organisms that are made up of many cells are called multicellular. There is a great variety among multicellular organisms. However, all multicellular organisms depend on communication and cooperation among specialized cells. Cells throughout an organism can develop in different ways to perform different tasks. This process is called cell specialization. Some examples of specialized cells are shown in 7-21. Specialized animal cells. Animal cells are specialized in many ways. Red blood cells are specialized to transport oxygen. Red blood cells contain a protein that binds to oxygen in the lungs and transports the oxygen throughout the body where it is released. Cells specialized to produce proteins, for example, are found in the pancreas. The pancreas is a gland that produces enzymes that make it possible to digest food. As you might expect, pancreatic cells are packed with ribosomes and rough ER, which are where proteins are produced. Pancreatic cells also possess large amounts of other organelles needed for protein export, including a well-developed Golgi apparatus and clusters of storage vacuoles loaded with enzymes. The human ability to move is result of specialized structures of muscle cells. These cells generate force by using a dramatically overdeveloped cytoskeleton. Skeletal muscle cells are packed with fiber arranged in a tight, regular pattern. Those fibers are actin microfilaments and a cytoskeletal protein called myosin. When they contract, muscle cells use chemical energy to pull these fibers past each other, generating force. Whether your muscles are large or small, your muscle cells themselves are bulked up with these specialized cytoskeletal proteins to a degree that makes them the body's undisputed heavy lifting champions. Specialized plant cells. A plant basking in the sunlight may seem quiet and passive, but it is actually interacting with the environment at every moment. It rapidly exchanges carbon dioxide, oxygen, water vapor, and other gases through tiny openings called stomata on the undersides of the leaves. Highly specialized cells known as guard cells regulate this exchange. Guard cells monitor the plant's internal conditions, changing their shape according to those conditions. For example, when the plant can benefit from gas exchange, the stomata open. The stomata close tightly when the plant's internal conditions change. Levels of organization. Biologists have identified levels of organization that make it easier to describe the cells within a multicellular organism. The levels of organization in a multicellular organism are individual cells, tissues, organs, and organ systems. These levels of organization are shown in Figure 7-22. Tissues. In multicellular organisms, cells are the first level of organization. Similar cells are grouped into units called tissues. A tissue is a group of similar cells that perform a particular function. The collection of cells that produce digestive enzymes in the pancreas make up one kind of tissue. Most animals have four main types of tissue: muscle, epithelial, nervous, and connective tissue. You will read about these tissues in later chapters. Organs. Many tasks within the body are too complicated to be carried out by just one type of tissue. In these cases, many groups of tissues work together as an organ. For example, each muscle in your body is an individual organ. Within a muscle, however, there is much more than muscle tissue. There are nerve tissues and connective tissues. Each type of tissue performs an essential task to help the organ function. Organ systems. In most cases, an organ completes a series of specialized tasks. A group of organs that work together to perform a specific function is called an organ system. The organization of the body's cells into tissues, organs, and organ systems creates a division of labor among those cells that makes multicellular life possible. Specialized cells, such as nerve and muscle cells, are able to function precisely because of other cells are specialized to obtain the food and oxygen needed by those cells. This overall specialization and interdependence is one of the remarkable attributes of living things. Appreciating this characteristic is an important step in understanding the nature of living things.